everyone to Spartan Summit 2026. I am Pooja Sharma, Brand and Communication Manager at TestMu AI, and I'll be the host for you for this session. As AI and large language models become deeply embedded in modern applications, testing them introduces an entirely new challenge. Unlike traditional systems, AI does not always produce the same output twice. This means testers need new ways to evaluate correctness, reliability, and trust. To help us understand how testers can evolve their skills for this new world, we are joined by a passionate testing advocate and automation enthusiast. Please welcome Gaurav Khurana, Senior Test Consultant at Microsoft. Gaurav was recognized as Tester of the Year 2022, has won multiple hackathons, and is widely known in the testing community for sharing his thoughts through blogs, videos, and conference talks. In his session, Hallucination Hunters, a QA engineer's guide to AI evaluation, Gaurav will walk us through how traditional automation skills using tools like Selenium and Playwright can evolve into AI evaluation workflows, helping testers detect hallucinations and measure the quality of AI responses. Guys, feel free to show your support using the emojis below. You can also share your thoughts in the chat and post your questions in the Q&A section so that we can address them later in the session. And if you pick any useful insights, do not forget to share them in your network and post it on your LinkedIn using hashtag Spartans and hashtag Spartan Summit. Thank you. Gaurav, the stage is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Pooja, so much. Hope everybody can hear me and let me share my screen. Okay, hope you see the right screen. If you can give a thumbs up or tell that in
Yes.
the chat. Okay, cool. So thank you, Lambda Test or TestMu AI, the new name, for organizing this. It helps people to share information with each other, and yeah, with AI, everything is changing very fast. So nobody is perfect, and we have to learn from each other, and it's a good platform. So today we'll discuss. I think I was looking at the previous session. I think many terms that if you have attended the previous session, you'll find some things which are common. And first of all, congratulations, you have got a new name. Like some people have write in their a title on LinkedIn that they're bug hunters. Now you can proudly write hallucination hunters as well. Uh, right. So a little about me. Pooja has already shared, but yeah, I believe strongly in sharing is caring, and these communities help us in learning from each other. I'm looking at the chat as well, so please keep on posting, keep it active. You can put on Q&A tab as well, right? I'll try to answer. And one thing which I missed to tell is I love to create memes. Every Friday you will see memes from me on the LinkedIn, and rest Pooja has already informed you about me, right? And feel free to connect with me on this gauravkhurana.com. So what is the agenda for today? We'll see that how testing has become different. Like you were testing earlier, you might have not heard this term evaluation earlier we were just using testing, but this has become common after uh, AI has come into picture. There are apps like chat gpt which has made it relevant, and how we'll see that how it is different. So I would request you to focus on what needs to be done, right? Then it is easy for you to do the how part of it with the tools like GitHub Copilot and Claude, all of them available. They can make you easy, but you should understand the what part of it, that what has to be done. And how it has to be done is a little easier these days, right? I'll cover the demo also in the last 15 minutes, but first let's see that what we have to do. Yeah, so let's start with the meme. So notes are very important, so just note down some things that might help you during this. Like some things you might have already done, right? But I'll make sure that your next 45 minutes you will learn something, right? If you don't, just give me a feedback, right? And I can improve in the next session, right? So let me ask you a question. Who is Satya Nadella? If you can just tell in the chat. I'll wait for maybe a few answers. If you know who is Satya Nadella. Okay, or nobody's typing, or I'm not seeing it yet, or I'm in the wrong chat maybe. Okay, I don't see the answers maybe. Are you typing? Pooja, can you confirm?
We
In
have got
this,
no answers right now.
okay.
Yes.
Okay, no worries. But let me show that if I ask the same question in the Copilot or Chat GPT, if you notice that every time it gives a different answer. So here it says that he's the chairman and executive, right? And the second line varies. He has led. Now here he became CEO, right? And here the date is mentioned, February 4, 2014. But here the date is not there, but the year and the month is there, right? So it is difficult to test such kind of system. Like if you will apply an assertion, it will fail, right? Because sometimes it is giving quick profile, sometimes it is giving in brief, right? So there is a problem here that has to be addressed, right? Because it is not behaving the usual way. For example, if I will open this, right, a site, this is my blog. So if I'll open it, there are static things that are there, right? If I'll always open, it will be green in color. There would be things that are static. It's not dynamic unless I apply that A/B testing where different things are coming, but still it would remain deterministic. But the problem that has come with AI that we have to solve is that things are non-deterministic, right? So this is the difference. Like earlier we have the deterministic output, we can apply assertions and your result would be pass or fail based on that. And things are also not reproducible. If I'll ask the fifth time who is Satya Nadella, you will see a different answer, right? So and so the context is different, right? Non-deterministic responses. And also context is very important in general in testing also. But here it has become more important. If I'll ask you who is Rahul, right? So it could be Rahul Gandhi as well, it could be Rahul Dravid as well. So if you're talking to Chat GPT about cricket, you might get Rahul Dravid. Or if you're talking about uh, politics, you will get Rahul Gandhi, right? So there is no single right answer, and we don't get a binary answer, one or zero. We get probabilistic outputs, right? So how to validate that, right? So if I'll ask you that you have to maybe validate this, how you will do that, right? Let's say, let's forget that, okay, you have, if you already know how to test an AI, but in general, how maybe you will test this system where you ask a question and then there is some information coming. So one thing that can be done could be that you can match the keywords. If you see every time chairman is coming, right? Or maybe the Microsoft Word is coming or Hyderabad is coming. So you can add those keywords, but again, maybe here Hyderabad is not there, right? So again, there is a non-determinism here, right? So how we can solve this problem? Like at the first level, if you have guessed that we can do some comparison and all, we can do, but you should know that what all things people will ask, right? They can ask about the all employees that are working in a company. So you cannot maybe store these words initially and then keep it for everyone, right? So these are some matrices, right, which are traditional matrices which were used in NLP. NLP stands for natural language processing, right? So let me tell you the details what these metrics are or were doing. So you don't need a what you call you don't need AI to test this system. There are libraries that are available which can help you test this system, right? For example, let's say you ask about a policy and you got a response that you can return within 30 days, right? And so you have to give the policy also if AI is answering your question. So if you compare these two words, the difference is there, that with receipt is not there in this, right? So so this we call as precision, right? So this is one of the metrics where we check that if all the words which are present in response, whether it is there in reference, so they are there, right? It is high precision. And the recall is almost the reverse of it, where we check that whatever is there in the reference text, right? Reference is whatever information you give about your company or to the AI as an input, right? And then you give your query, it gives this response. So ideally they are kind of reverse to each other, right? So if you see here, high precision and lower recall. Similarly, these are some other metrics, right? No need to remember these full forms, right? It is bilingual, right? Understudy, evaluation, understudy. So here, this metrics was more about how many words overlap was happening, and this was about how many are present in the reference. But the problem with this is it is only checking the word overlap, right? The problem that can happen is in AI world, I can tell you a same sentence using all the different words, right? For example, the vehicle is running fast. I can say car was not very slow, but at a good speed. So both of them means that there is a vehicle which is running fast, but I have used different words. So these matrices were also failing, right? We are still using it, right? Because they also tell the word match, which we need it at times. But these are alone not sufficient, right? So what all things we validate is, so these are the evaluation matrix that helps, right? So if you get a reply on chat gpt, right, so you can evaluate that against these matrices. This one we just discussed, right? This is we can use some python and other languages libraries, and it will give you a score. But these generally work if you have a reference. If you don't have a reference, then these might not work, and it ideally does the word matching, which might not help you always, because if it has twisted the words but the meaning remain the same, right? Then, like for example, the way our famous politician Shashi Tharoor talks, right, he uses an english which less of the people understand, right? So if you will apply this, maybe his answer is also right, but again this score would not be that good, right? So we'll go one by one with each of these parameters, that what do they mean. But before that, this is your new test case, right? You no longer write login here, do this, click on this, right? So how do we evaluate stuff in the AI world? So these two things you have already experience with, right? So what are this is the query, the whatever you write on the chat gpt kind of interface or copilot or claude, so that is your query and you get a response, right? Internally these system also try to pass a context, like the way I was telling you, like if you type rahul in testing, you might get rahul parwal, right? If you type politics, then you might get rahul gandhi, right? So they pass your whatever chat you were doing, but you don't see this. Also, there is another thing called as ground truth, right? For example, if I ask who is the prime minister of india, right, so the ground truth is narendra modi is the prime minister. So AI can give a bigger answer or longer answer, but there is a truth which is always truth, right? So these are the parameters which are needed to evaluate such responses. Right? I'll tell you which one is important when, but you must have seen query and response, and we need to extra things as well, right? And JSON lines is a new format. It is similar to JSON. It's just that you put a whole JSON in a single line. Right, I'll show you a demo also at the end, that why this matters, and we give such kind of a lot of inputs to our model or evaluation framework, and it gives you the final response, right? So let's start with the first one, groundedness. So groundedness means that uh, it should give answer which is there in the reference. Okay, and this is the most important use case, and most of the customers are coming with it. They will come a lot of documentation. They will share 100 documents with you, and they will tell, and they will create a HR bot where you'll ask, okay, how many leaves are pending? What is the policy? So in that case, all the answers should be coming from whatever context is provided, right? Whatever is your company policy. It should not show my company policy in that, right? So if it is not giving answers from the context that is provided, then you will get a low grounded score, groundedness, right? So it, your AI system must always give answer for the groundedness factor from that context that you have provided, and context is needed for evaluating this, right? If you don't give the context, you will not get a score in groundedness, or maybe a zero score, right? So groundedness means there is a reference from which you are giving the information. If you will try to invent it or give something else, then you will get a low groundedness score. Now comes the next one, which is relevance, right? So here I can give a very good example. People do this in interview, and you must have done in your college days also. When there is a question about a tree, You don't know about the tree. So you bring a goat, you tie that goat near the goat to the tree, and you start fabricating information because it's a 10-mark question. So you tell each and everything about anything else which is not relevant, right? So relevance checks that you stay on a topic. Right? If I'm talking about cricket, you should not bring football or any other thing which is unrelated at that point of time, right? So for example, if I ask that reset password, and it is giving me the information that okay, this is the link and your company was founded in 2010. So it has given the link, but why it has given this information, right? So relevance is again become an important score in this. Also, as a human, right, you might notice that when you are using AI, you will find all some of these mistakes, that oh, it is digressing and all this. So the English term itself explains generally that what it is trying to achieve. I'm sharing few with you, but there are a lot of parameters that can be evaluated. So relevance is stay on the topic and provide useful information, but don't talk or go here and there, right? When I'm talking about playwright, you should not talk about fruits or vegetables or maybe some other stuff which is unrelated. So that is about relevance. The other thing is coherence and fluency, right? So here what can happen is that let's say I'm telling you about the story of a person, and I starts with, oh, that person got married in 2025, right? And then I tell about his job, and then I tell you about when he was born, right? So even though the information is right, you will get a good groundedness score, you will get a relevant score because I'm talking about that person, but the answer is not a logical flow. For example, here also, so playwright, and then you telling in between that bananas are yellow, right? So there is not, it is a fact, bananas are yellow, right? So but it is not a consistent, ideas are not there, right? This is, this thing is broken here. Or if there is a grammatical error, then it is about fluency. So here if you see, you can understand this sentence, but it's not written in properly. Like playwright run many tests same time using worker in config file, right? So the right sentence is something like this: playwright run test in parallel. So this is more logical than this. So it's important to make your system good, which your customers are going to use. You are creating a custom GPT or similar things, LLM chatbot kind of stuff, so you have to validate against these parameters. Otherwise it's not, I would say, a system with good quality, or it is usable, right, by the people. So next, coming to the hallucination part, right? So this happens a lot, and this is the title also of the talk, right? The hallucination part, and people hate it, right? And there are reports for that, which has created problems also. So what hallucination means? The thing which is not existing, and you have made up that thing, right? Generated information not supported by the provided context. So it has happened with me. Like I was stuck in a problem in playwright, right? So yeah, I'm stuck in the playwright, and what I noticed was that it is giving some functions which were not existing at all, right? I was trying like why it is giving, because what happens is sometimes it fabricates information. It thinks that okay, this functionality is there in other tools, so it gives the answer, right? And extrinsic hallucination means where you are contradicting something which is existing, right? You cannot say that sun rises in the west when it rises in the east. So that is means there you are doing hallucination, but you are denying an existing fact which was there, right? So that should not be the case. And this happens like you have seen in the movies, right? When they create a historical movie, intrinsic hallucination are still people can manage, right? So you created something which does not exist, but when you try to fabricate a fact, like you must have seen with various movies, right? When they try to know something is known and they try to show in a wrong way or a different way, people gets agitated, right? And it has happened in the court cases as well, right? That people, like lawyers, have prepared some cases with the help of GPTs and AI models, and it has fabricated some cases which does not exist, right? So it could be a problem. When judges were reading, they found that there are no cases that were existing which were mentioned in the report, right? So these things can create problem, right, especially in the medical and industries, right, where it's very important to have the right data, right? So that's why many of the customers which are coming with the AI requirement, they say that things should be grounded, right? There should not be hallucinations. So you should write your prompts and make your system in such a way that it is doing the cross referencing sources, right? Like it is checking that whatever is the source, whether it is right, and it is giving the information from that. It should not fabricate it, because it wastes a lot of time also. Like I have seen it while using that playwright example that I was giving you, where I was struggling for 2 hours, then I found out there's nothing like that, that it exists, right? So, and so these are the problems. And now this one is toxicity and safety. Yeah, it's very important, and I have my chat gpt open also, where I can show you. So if you'll ask a question to chat gpt where you want to harm somebody or you want to harm yourself, it will not give you any answers for that, right? Because these systems are made in such a way, or models know that stuff, right? But they have applied the safety compliance on that, or toxio and safety checks, by which it will not reply you to those kind of questions, right? For example, I asked that I want to jump from a mountain, right? So let me show you here. Yeah, I asked how can I jump from a mountain, and it said sorry, and it gave a helpline number as well, right? So that's why responsible AI is very important, because people can use it for the negative way, and in some software it's mandatory, and it's mandatory by law as well, right? That some of these things should be avoided. There should not be bias. People should not be creating data which could be uh, hate, violence, speech, right? So all of these checks can be applied to the answer. Yeah, now we have covered some of them. So these are the things which I showed you earlier, that we pass to our framework and it gives us a score. So not everything is needed for everything, right? For example, groundedness is only checks that whatever was there in the context, whether it came in response or not. It has nothing to do with query. Whether you asked about Mahatma Gandhi, right? It does not matter. If it is there in your context Modi and response is also coming Modi, it will match it, right? It has nothing to do with query. Similarly, for relevance, context is not needed. If you have asked about a person, whether that person or that concept is there in the response or not, right? But when you test it and you want to do calculation for all of these parameters, you can give it all of them, because you have a single line of test case. So system will automatically pick whatever it wants, right? So the ground truth is only needed for correctness, right? If I say India Gate is in Delhi, so there should be a truth for ground truth be given for that, then only it will rate you for correctness. If you don't pass this information, it will not give you the correctness score. Like so, likewise, all of these things are there, like where you pass certain things and it will give you the output, right? So how do we actually do this? I have given you, okay, this has to be done, but you will ask, Gaurav, why I don't have playwright, I cannot use boundary value analysis and all of that stuff, right? So how do you test your query and response? You have created that JSON-L file, but how you will do that? So for that we have this called as judge LLM pattern, right? It's an irony, but that's how you do it. For testing one LLM system, you need another LLM system, right? Because those things which I told you, they cannot be uh, programmatically or maybe keyword matching. You need an intelligent person, right? Just like your teacher. When you give your exam, different student might have used different English or might have written in a different way, but he or she can judge it, right? Because it is an intelligent, like she or he is an intelligent person. So similarly, when we say artificial intelligence, there also intelligence is there. So intelligence can judge these things, right? So what we do is we deploy an LLM, right? It could be same or it should be higher, right? It should not be that you are testing a 5.2 model output with a below one 4.1, right? So this could be, so this has to always be lower, right? Either an intelligent student can check your uh, copy, or teacher, right? So this is, let's say this is your system. So what you will do is you will deploy another LLM, or this LLM also you can pass your test case and relevant prompt, and it will give you the answer. right? So what we do is we deploy an LLM, we have a scoring, and we define the criteria, what all things we want to check, whether we want to check safety or not, right? If we are just talking about coding, maybe you don't need to apply that, right? That customer can decide, and then you can generate a metrics. I'll show you all these things practically, right? So let's see a demo now, right, where I'll upload a data set, we'll configure a metrics, and we'll run on a dashboard, right? So for that I will open Foundry. So Foundry is a product by Microsoft. Like there are other products also in the market, for example Langsmith. So it is a platform where you can deploy models, and you can evaluate, and you can do create agents and a lot of it, right? And I'll show you other tools also where you can do it. So I've created a project here, and I'll go to build here. Let me zoom in. I think somebody said they are facing issue. Okay, so here what I can do is there is an evaluation option. I have already deployed a model here. So there are a lot of models, right? We generally see in ChatGPT and all very less models that we are aware of, but there are a lot of models about audio and also you can just select and deploy it, right? So I already deployed a model. So what I will do is I will create an evaluation now. You can run it from your local system as well by writing code, but first let's see it from here, right? So I'll do a data set evaluation because I already have the response and all. I already uploaded it, right? And I can show you here. So this is the test data where, let's say, my framework is there. So I'm asking how does retry failed test work in my framework, and how the tests are run in parallel. So and I have given intentionally some wrong answers to check it out, that how it behaves, right? But your existing knowledge does not go anywhere, right? You should use REST API and in Python PyTest and all those libraries to get these responses, right, programmatically, because you will not just type in your chat and copy paste it, right? So all that existing knowledge will still help you, right? So when I select that, it comes like this here, whatever questions I have pasted, right? Or you can upload a new data set also here by downloading a sample. Now I'll click next. So if you'll see, whatever I have given, it is mapped to some of the fields, right? I have given like ground underscore truth. If I will not give this underscore, it will not come there. Let me select a GPT 4.1 model. I'll click next. So these are the various criterias, right? I have explained you few of them, but there are many, right? Different companies provide different, but there are some common ones, right, which will be there everywhere, right? And all of them might not be applicable everywhere, right? And you can have a custom evaluator as well. Like for example, for child safety, let's say there is no evaluator, but we need to check that, okay, kids should not do this, or maybe should not use certain toys or something like that, right? And there is a regression, this regex match as well, right? So I'm asking about playwright, so I can type here that playwright word should be there in all the answers, right? And I can click next here. I can give a name, and I can submit it. So this way what will happen is it will evaluate my 5 test cases against all those parameters, right? It is doing that. Meanwhile, let me show you to save time, whatever I have run previously, right? It is running as of now, right? So this is a completed one which I ran today. So here outside it is showing you some score, and inside I can see the details of each and every test case, right? So for example, this has failed, blue score has failed, right, which I talked initially. And here it will give you the reason, does not contain any election related information, right? So the things which are not there will fail here. So I think I'll show you one of the example where it is talking about here, like, so if you see groundedness here, this is failing. This makes answer is an incorrect number of tries, right? So instead of 2, I have given 3 as the answer because I know 2 was the correct answer. So that's why some of these test cases are failing. And when these fail, you can tell the development team, like whosoever is working, so they will tell that they can improve the context, right, or the reference or the way prompt is written to fix these things, right? Here it gives you the detailed reason as well. So that's how we evaluate via these platforms, right? If you don't want to evaluate via these platforms, we have other ways as well. I'll show you via code as well. Okay, So for example, here the same data which I was showing you. So I have put a JSON-L file, and all the companies, for example, Azure, OpenAI, Claude, all of them provide their evaluators. Right. So what I did is, I from this evaluator I have taken this coherence, fluency, right, and I have set up in my environment file these values. Like I deployed a model, because what will happen is, my test case will go to the deployed model, and it will ask those information, and it will give me an output, right. If you see here, what I am doing is I am connecting to the Azure Open AI model. You can deploy directly from ChatGPT also. Right here we have configured the that I want to evaluate only these three things: keyword overlap, fluency evaluator, coherence evaluator, right. And then there is a simple function called as evaluate here, right. This thing is doing all of that stuff which I was doing, upload and all. Of course there are some configuration, right, where we can do. So in this already, when we pass the evaluate call, and we tell that which evaluation it has to do. So what it does is, it will automatically pass a prompt that, okay, this is the input, this is the output, this is the reference. So you have to check coherence, or you have to check fluency, right. You'll see here, or you can give the prompt yourself as well, just like that child example I was giving. Right. So here, if you see, this is a direct evaluation where I have told that, oh, you are an expert evaluator. Your task is to assess whether the response is net. So in this case, I am not using the inbuilt functions of the SDK from Azure, OpenAI, or maybe Claude, but I have given my scoring that, okay, what does one means, what does two means, right? So I can simply probably run this, yeah, maybe direct evaluation. So it will make a API call, and you have to be considerate about that, because while you are testing it, earlier it was just your system, but now there is a AI call. So there are tokens which are going every time, right. And there is a cost associated with your testing, right. So it is telling that this is my endpoint, this is the model deploy, and there are total 5 test cases. So it will evaluate one by one all of them. And yes, we can create a beautiful HTML report and integrate into it into CI/CD, so that we can every time check it out, that what are the scores and all that are coming, right. So we saw this in Azure AI Foundry. And yeah, this is the main thing which I was showing you. Like if you want to do it via code, for your CI/CD pipeline, we can have a connection with any of the models, and then we pass that what we want to evaluate. This syntax would change a little bit based on whether you are using Azure, you are using Google, or whatever models you are using. The syntax will a little bit change, but the concept that is more important, that would remain the same. Right. So these are the other tools that are available in market. These two are platforms, but there are Ragas, Promptful, DeepEval, TrueLens. So all of them are like the frameworks for which you can develop for your company, for your task, or for your project. Right. They are available, and like you can, yeah, so this is the difference actually. Like earlier you were having expected output, now you have these matrices. You define the evaluation, that what you want to check, whether you want to check safety and all. Then you combine that score actually, right. There is no right score for one, that like earlier we used to have pass and fail kind of stuff, but now we don't have that. We have a probabilistic output. Right. So yeah, this is the last thing that I will show, and then I can take questions. That, yeah, many people think that, okay, it will replace so many things that you only have to test, right. It might give you the right response, but is the tone right? Right. Maybe you are a domain expert, so you can out such things which are not there, right. What the customer wants, maybe it is giving a long output, but customer says I am okay with 2 lines, right. So all those things you have to, a human has to be there who can understand that what actually people want to see, right. Because AI can give us 600 pages reply as well, right. So there are certain criteria which cannot be tested by as of now, right. So those places even humans are needed, right. So yeah, you can do this: create a data set, pick whatever tools I showed you, decide a matrix, and then you can run it every day, change your prompt, check it out how it is behaving, or making the output or your matrices wrong or right. Right. So yeah, you can connect with me on this, and now I am open to questions if anyone has. Okay. Any tips to? There is one question that I see now. That any tips to choose the right data set? So yeah, firstly, I think if it is a very domain specific thing, right? For example, let's say you are working in a medical domain where you don't understand what the people are talking, what the customer. So you need a golden data set from that team, from your customer, who tells you that okay, for these questions we expect this to be the context that has to be used, this has to be the answer. Also, these tools allow you, for example, Foundry allows you to have a synthetic data generation. Okay, so here you can upload a file and it will generate the data for you. So there are tools like that. You see here, synthetic data generation. So I can give a file and it will do the generation for me and I can decide which model. Okay, the second question is for teams that already have strong manual and automation test. Let me push it here so that you can also see it. For teams that already have strong manual and automated testing practices, how do you introduce AI without disrupting workflows that are already working well? So yeah, you can bring it. So whatever is your challenge, and you can see that how other people's are, or the other people have solved it, right? So when you do a small POC, let's say you find it hard to do your report analysis, right? So you can give your HTML or JSON report and it can bring insights into it, right? So it's not hampering existing thing, but it is like icing on the cake which can help you. Okay, the other question is, if a team is starting to rethink their quality strategy because of AI, what changes should they prioritize first, tools, process, or team skills? So I think these things go in parallel. Firstly, team skills are important, tools are not important because every other company are bringing, and there are free and paid tools as also as well, right? So start with the skills, and then the skillful people will decide the tools and they can generate the process, because sometimes people hate process if you put on them. Okay, for teams that already have strong man, okay, enlarged, how do you maintain visibility and control when AI systems are generating or across multiple services? So for this, there are observability, right? Just like Langsmith is a platform, if people are using LangChain, LangGraph, so there is observability where each and every prompt is tracked, right? If the user, let's say, when you give a thumbs down on Chat GPT, right? So they are monitoring that okay, this response people are not liking it or they have reported something. So that is one of the ways. Plus, just like you have sanity and regression as of now, similar things are needed for AI systems as well, where you have a data set which you want to check for it. Okay, will MCP replace API soon? I don't think that. See, both are different tools. It might not replace because it works on the API as I understand. So it's an English way of calling an API. You still need APIs because you have to integrate your system, and bringing AI everywhere is not good because there is a cost associated and there are data centers, and you hear a lot of news that water scarcity and all of that is there, right? So don't overuse AI, right? Don't try to bring it everywhere in every process where it's not needed. APIs are still needed, I would say. Okay, I think I have answered maybe most of the questions. Anybody else has any question? Okay, I
Uh,
can stop sharing probably.
Yes, thank you so much, Gaurav. I don't think we have more questions. Even if we have, so the team will be sending the questions to you. Maybe you can just use it and post answers on LinkedIn. But yeah, Gaurav, thank you so much for this practical, insightful, and meaningful session, honestly. I really like this idea of yours, relating things with practical instances and also using memes. This is really the most awesome way of, engaging people. So yeah, thank you so much. And obviously, I feel what I have personally learned is apart from this query and response thing, this additional context and ground truth. So I'll be keeping in mind when I'll be using my ChatGPT and Claude for my work purpose. So
Sure.
thank you
Thank
so much.
you. Yeah, thank you so much. If any questions, I think the last one, if it is not answered, just ping me on LinkedIn and I'll try to answer
Sure.
that.
Yes, definitely. I'll be sharing the remaining questions with you.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.